Despite of the very sophisticated name of the presentation, I want to tell you since the beginning that this is a very modest experiment. It's a very limited study, but I think it's important in significance. And since most of you are researching and working in the academic field and being active participants to the initiative just presented by Professor Alam, maybe you may use the same instrument in your activity. And another point to make since the beginning is, since I could do it myself, I'm sure you will do it yourself very easily. So what is all about? It was a small research with double purpose. First of all, to identify the main challenges and the experience and problems experienced by countries in the implementation of Sustainable Development Goals. Of course, we have an overall picture on the situation, we have a lot of information, but I'm afraid I didn't see a very careful and thorough research on what are actually the main challenges mid-term in the implementation of the agenda. The second, so we combined the two objectives. The second was to use the artificial intelligence tool for the extraction and of relevant data from the database that we're having. And that is also important because we are talking about AI, but at the very artificial level, we are talking about the future being replaced by robots, etc., etc. I think we should talk about the first step in the use of the artificial intelligence, and it is obvious that artificial intelligence can be used in the processing of big data. How we did that? We picked up a sample of 7 countries from those who submitted the national voluntary reviews to the high-level political forum in recent years. We pick up 7 countries. There could have been more or other countries. It's not important. What I can tell you is that the 7 countries were picked up for 4 continents. So it's a quite representative sample. It represented countries with different level of resources, of different level of economic power. I don't know how to get rid of something here. How did I pick up an AI assistant? You know, there are many systems available in the market, and one of them is ChatGPT. ChatGPT is very well known by you, but I didn't find, I had my experience with ChatGPT. I didn't find ChatGPT being very clever for my purpose. So I practically identify another AI system, and I made an interview with that system like I had in front of me a human person. So it was a kind of recruitment interview. I asked some questions to estimate to what extent this system would help me. So in the interview, I also satisfy my own curiosity, because we are using many scenarios when we are talking about AI, and I ask it, what do you think you are as a AI application? And the AI assistant, and here I will have a problem to quote exactly what it said. I would define myself as a text generator. I am a software application powered by artificial intelligence, specifically language models designed to create textual context such as blog articles, reports, messages, and more. I utilize large amounts of data, structured grammar and context, allowing me to produce text. So you don't have to overestimate the capacity of this particular AI assistant. It's just as you would have a student helping you in the documentation, in the analysis of data, or even a more advanced researcher. It was a very precious assistant for me, because it helped me to process something like 1,200 pages of text. what was the research methodology? So prompting the AI assistant, documentation and question. Those who are not, we have experts in artificial intelligence in the room, but those who are not familiar, prompting is the way you address the question, the way you formulate the question, the way you help the AI system to give you some relevant answers. Then I made an analysis of the first round of questions. And then I realized that at different stages in time, the artificial intelligence assistant gave me different, slightly different responses. As I said, okay, that means machine learning. The machine is more familiar with the subject, so I can go further and repeat the question. So what I did was to repeat the question, and I have analyzed also the second round of answers. Prompting the AI. So I provided this AI system with the information. So normally the AI assistant will look itself on the net to find the relevant information. In my case, I helped it. I prompted it by giving it the objective, the solid, the necessary information for a right answer. The first information was about the agenda for sustainable development. All this stuff had the link when we had to add the link, so the artificial intelligence could really search the document and do what is expected to do. The information number 2, I described the context in which these national voluntary reviews are presented. And that context is the high-level political forum. High-level political forum is working now in New York, is the annual political analysis by member states and by the civil society of the progress in the implementation of the agenda. In that particular context, there are these national reviews that are presented voluntarily by member states. So information number 3, I described to AI assistant what is about these national voluntary reviews. And this was again factual information, dry information from the official sources. So I facilitated, I would say, a lot the work of my assistant. For those of you who are not familiar with national voluntary reviews, they are available on the website of this high-level political forum. So the 193 countries, they are supposed to present reports when they want, when they can, and you will find the circumstances when some countries presented reports 3 times already, or some countries that were not able to present any report at all. Everything is described about the way to submit this report, but the essence is in that definition. When the agenda as such invited member states to conduct regular and inclusive reviews of progress at the national and sub-national levels, which are country-led, so the responsibility of states, and country-driven. And I asked a simple question which would describe the interest as reflected in the title. So that was the question. Could you please, I was polite with the AI assistant, is a machine, but then again, please, it's a good word for any dialogue. Could you please identify which, I'm sure that the AI assistant wouldn't have cared if I didn't mention the word please, but I think it's a better way to deal with the issue. Could you please identify which are the challenges, difficulties, and shortcomings experienced by country X in the implementation of the Agenda 2030 and the SDGs, as mentioned in the 20, I mentioned for each particular country, I gave the link to the specific national and voluntary review. So it has the link. So that was one question. And of course, the AI assistant responded very quickly in a matter of, I don't know, 60 to 2 minutes, responded very, very quickly. And these are my evaluation on after analyzing the first round of substance. So these are very important. These are very important. And of course, they reflect the conclusion at a certain stage of the research, they are not definitive conclusion. So the AI assistant did not nearly capture the difference between the goals to be achieved, the means needed to the achievement of the goals, and the challenges that hinder their achievements. These shortcomings resulted into confusion, similar findings for different countries, and similar language. More importantly, its findings have been by and large of a rather abstract nature, and the countries concerned lack specificity. So basically, the AI assistance was not able to capture the essence of the SDGs. It worked, made a sort of language speculation. They extracted some text. What it says was relevant, but not very useful. So I have let's say, a practical explanation of that is the fact that each country, they were helped to draft these national reports by using a handbook produced by the United Nations. So that handbook said, you do that, you chapter that, so it's already a prerequisite for commonality of language, let alone the fact that, the resolution of the United Nations sounds the same for 193 countries. So that is why it was not very helpful. And this is where I decided to ask again the same question. Let's say, shortcomings. Some conclusions betray confusion in the mind of the AI assistant. Several goals are listed as obstacles to the implementation of Agenda 2030. I don't know if you realize that, but this is why I give you 3 examples. Climate change action, SDG 13, is a goal, and its manifestations are seen by the AI assistant as obstacles. Mobilizing partnership is what we do now. As SDG 17 is a goal, but it is listed as a problem. We didn't do that. But you should do that. So it's not an explanation. We didn't do that without explaining why you didn't do that. Gender equality is a goal, and its substance was listed by AI as hindering implementation. Among others, I found 2 practical back-to-earth proposal. One was identifying bankable SDG projects, and the other one was about the integration of SDGs into national planning and budgeted process. So beyond the generalities, I think these are very concrete and very useful indications and conclusions or findings offered by the AI. Now, these are real problems that were identified, being common to more countries. The need to strengthen the institutional capacity at all levels of governments, the need to find effective mechanism for monitoring, evaluation, and reporting process, the lack of relevant, transparent, reliable, and disaggregated data, insufficient communication, the awareness creation, the need for adequate financing mechanism. This is not surprising. And you will see in the report of the Secretary General last year on the implementation that there is a graph where the lack of relevant data is a common problem, even with countries with a lot of resources. And I see here a window for the university to see why and how they can help that particular issue. After the second round of answers, the conclusions are quite different. So I explain why I repeated the question. I repeated because I use the assumption that AI assistant will learn, is what we call machine learning. We learn from the first experience and improve capacity, its capacity to digest the data and systematize conclusions. And I would say that indeed, I noticed progress in the second round of responses. The question was the same, but the answers were different in substance sometimes. In other cases, just in formulation. At this stage, the AI indeed moved from a too high level of generalization and entered into some specific issues, and we could see indeed the national specificity. However, this process was also abrupt and was lacking coherence and logic. For instance, in one case, very specific things like high plastic debris density, declining fish stock, low proficiency in English, and low tax revenue as a proportion of GDP were identified as major problems. Of course, these are real problems, but a human being would not have qualified that at this level of political significance because of their specificity. For the real purpose, which was to identify the problems, for the first purpose, which was to identify the problems, after the second round of answers, we could put our finger at feasible and workable conclusions for the policymakers from the United Nations. So these challenges were reiterated and were defined with more clarity. And I picked up, these are the all that I could pick up that satisfies this level of rigor. Data gaps and monitoring challenges in data collection, monitoring, and reporting of SDG progress. The review notes a lack of baseline data and the need to strengthen statistical capacity. There are a lot of indicators, sub-indicators that accompany the SDGs. It was quite easy to draw a list, but it is not easy for any system in any country to really collect data and disaggregated data to give precise scientific answers to all the problems and issues.
So Ambassador, you have half a minute.
Yeah. The other one was the weak institutional frameworks and capacity, weaknesses in the institutional frameworks and capacity, including a lack of clear roles and responsibilities across different government entities. So this is, again, a very important findings because, the least that you can expect from a government is really to have a clear definition of roles or to include, as I said before, the SDG agenda into the national plans and to avoid situations like the one mentioned by Professor Alam, where responsible from the government, they were not aware of the origins or the contents of these national reviews. Gaps in strategic partnership and implementation capacity between the government, civil society, and private sector. So this is, again, one issue that can be worked, and it's one issue in which I feel the university can play a role, because you don't need necessarily huge amount of resources. You need the intelligence, you need the intellectual energy, and good and financial constraints. Financial constraints, I will not insist, because money is considered the universal key to all problems. I'm not sure about that, but anyway, I know that the financial problems are important. So final remarks for the purpose of my research. There should be no confusion. The AI tool used for the purpose of this study was strictly limited to data processing and text generation. We did not touch the issue of AI application in the industry, trade, services, education, a concept that was not present in the substance in the reports analyzed. So that's another point. I mentioned that because in the reviews, in the reports themselves, we didn't have enough information about that. The conclusion may no longer be valid tomorrow in the view of the rapid transformation of AI capabilities. AI prompting and machine learning could converge in improving results. The AI assistant helped us to extract data from thousands of pages and maybe continue to be used for that purpose. And I said in the end, I'm sorry, I cannot read and you cannot read yourself the last conclusion, which is very important, is that we should not rely entirely, at least at this stage, on any findings of any AI system. The human judgment, the double checking is essential to really come to a good conclusion. The perspective are good because we I believe in the possibility to improve the performance of AI system by prompting AI. I mentioned what it is. Continuing the dialogue in stages, providing more indication, more information, narrowing the question, helping the context and with the context and the intention, and that capacity that is inherent to the AI, the machine learning. And probably again here we can read the final conclusion. In both scenarios, the oversight and monitoring by the human factor should remain fundamental. The use of AI tools does not mean transfer of responsibility and accountability. That remains the duty of the human factor, of the partners, of the governments, etc. So what I would feel at this point in time is that any one of you with any group in your university, you can pick up a bunch of countries, you can pick up a goal, you can choose any other options to do a research with the help of the AI existing tools. Thank you very much. These are landscape from Romania. I wanted to have a big
Mr.
propaganda for my
Ambassador,
country. So
thank you very much.